We will now hear the farewell address from the Salutatorian for the class of 2016, Elmer Lizarde.
Here it is. Good evening, and welcome all to this special celebration. For those in attendance today who do not recognize me, my name is Elmer Lizarde. I have been blessed with the glorious opportunity to learn, live, and mature alongside the class of 2016 for 4 monumental years. And yes, I realize that to some parents and faculty members, the term mature is up to interpretation, but hey, I'm optimistic, and I'd like to think that we have made some progress. Now, when I was elected by my peers to represent them today, I was incredibly humbled. It is still very difficult for me to explain the feeling, but I guess the best way to describe it is by saying that even now, my heart is very full. But with this honor comes this tremendous responsibility, because now I have the gargantuan task of encapsulating the class of 2016 with words. So I sat alone for some time trying to figure out the best way to approach this, and quickly I realized that it would be impossible. Attempting to describe our joint experience as a family here would be like trying to explain why Mr. English's hair refuses to quit. So rather than stand here and spit a bunch of cliches at you that would never do you justice, I would like to do something else. Class of 2016, I would like to ask something of you. But before that, I have a few stories. About halfway through my final cross-country season at CB, late in September, we had our annual night meet at Del Oro High School. I had missed a week and a half of school because I had been in the hospital with my family due to an emergency, and had not gone to any athletic practice for that time either. And despite that, I decided to go to the meet because I felt like I needed to clear my mind. I showed up that evening, and all of my teammates welcomed me after not having seen me for a long week and a half. I warmed up with my varsity teammates for the race, and I felt great. I felt like I was really going to come back strong for my teammates. Then came the time of our race. The varsity boys all lined up. We prayed together. We waited for the gun, and then boom, we were off. The start was dusty, but I managed to keep a close distance to our top runners. I continued for the first half of the race with a healthy pace, and I felt like I was truly pushing myself. And then about halfway through, my body started to fail me. My lungs could not breathe in as deeply. I started feeling aches in my sides, and my legs tensed up so that my stride was weakened dramatically. Slowly, I went from a top runner to the back of the pack. I watched all of my teammates get away from me, and as I ran the entire second half of the race, Coach Delgado and the rest of the cheering parents watched me struggle. My mentality switched from personal record to don't you dare stop. I was fighting to maintain a dead man's trot by the end of the race. And when I came to the final sprint around the track, everyone kicked into their final gear, but I had nothing left, and I watched jersey after jersey sprint past me to the finish. I didn't stop, but I crossed the finish line with the slowest pace of my career. After I finished, my teammates were all congratulating one another because they had all run very well. And I could not even look at them because I had performed so poorly. They all finally saw me come in several minutes after them, and they watched me walk away to a spot by myself. And then my senior teammates, Adam Wong, Colin Campbell, and Michael Sparks III, all stopped their celebrations to walk over to a defeated Elmer to make sure that he was okay. Fast forward a couple months. One afternoon early in this semester, Donovan Rooney, my godbrother, and I were driving home from school. I remember it was a very chilly day because we had just had a strong storm with plenty of rain. I was watching people passing my view on the street, wondering what their names were, when suddenly one caught my attention. He was an older black gentleman with a beard. He had torn jeans from what I could see, and he was carrying a bunch of belongings with him, enough to make me believe that he did not have a place to call home. But see, the reason why he stood out on the street was because he was wearing a bold blue sweatshirt. And as we approached him, the writing on it became more and more recognizable until we were right beside him and I could see the great big Christian Brothers Falcons logo on the front. On that ride home, all I could think about was this: who could have given that man that sweatshirt? More than likely, the sweatshirt was donated somewhere and he happened to pick it out randomly, but still, it fascinated me. I started naming all the faculty in my head, all the parents I knew, and then I thought about the students, especially those in my class. I started thinking about all of these names of fellow classmates who could have given the man the sweatshirt. And after a long car ride home, I came to a final conclusion. It could have been anybody. And that was what I found so beautiful about that seemingly serendipitous moment. It could have been anybody. And that got me thinking about what other things my peers were doing that were making a positive impact on others' lives. See, for me, one of the greatest benefits of studying at Christian Brothers has always been learning about the phenomenal people who share my education with me. Every day, I felt like I could learn something fascinating about a fellow peer and be moved. And these amazing deeds that the members of the class of 2016 were willfully and selflessly enacting every day blew my mind. They made me believe in a positive future because they helped me realize that anyone could serve another. Anyone. Take Efrain Vallejo, for example, who led the Red Cross Club in fundraising money to help those in need. Or Jack Noonan, who volunteered many mornings to make breakfast for the women's shelter. Or what about Skylar Zapata, who she affectionately sewed blankets for the sole purpose of keeping someone else warm. Aiden Smith and a whole group of classmates traveled down to the US-Mexico border together to proactively pursue universal human dignity. Or consider Shelby Rodich, who volunteered herself to Evening of Dreams so that teens with special needs could experience the joy of prom for one night. See, these deeds speak volumes to the principles of my peers and the institution that has nurtured them for the past 4 years. These seemingly small acts became ingrained in my mind as they perfectly describe the reason for which this class, and any Christian Brothers class for that matter, is special. Yes, every year is different with its own quirks and idiosyncrasies, but we all have one thing in common. We are bound together by a set of values and principles that encourage us to act on our love. Class of 2016, I admire you because you have taken these Lasallian principles to heart and have allowed me the privilege of experiencing their effects. What we've learned here goes beyond common knowledge because quality education reaches much farther than a classroom. Inclusive community isn't a goal, but a standard. Concern for the poor isn't an idea, but an action. Respect for all people is a responsibility, and faith in the presence of God is a blessing. All of these principles, which have been so instilled in us, have taught us one thing. And I think St. John Baptist de La Salle said it best when he said, "We are called like apostles to make God known to others." And thanks to Christian Brothers, you all understand that God is love, and every small act of love goes a long way. So class of 2016, here is what I ask of you. As you disperse across the United States and the world, and you search passionately for your vocation, remain true to the one vocation of every LaSallian. And this vocation has many names and many interpretations, but it is up to each and every one of us to exemplify the benevolence of Christian Brothers High School. To some of us, it means being a good Christian. To most of us, it means living the fourth. But to all of us, it means leaving to serve. Class of 2016, serve the world. Thank you.